Good morning. One of Philadelphia's major problems is its failure to educate a large number of its children. Illiteracy or low literacy are high. The level of education needed for much of the jobs of the city just isn't there. There is high truancy. Opportunity seems to many young people to be out of their grasp. But there is an approach that two video producers have been trying that they say reaches some kids on multiple levels. Good morning. I'm Steve Highsmith, and welcome to In Focus. According to the Pennsylvania Economy League of Southeastern Pennsylvania and the Philadelphia Workforce Investment Board, only 1 in 7 Philadelphians over the age of 25 has an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree. 1 in 6 Philadelphians has some college credit but no degree. The city actually has more people with some college than it has people with college degrees, one of the few cities with that distinction. The imbalance starts early. More than 20% of the city's school-age children drop out of school by their senior year. Over half of the kids who do graduate do not go on to college. I recently visited a summer class at Northeast High School in Northeast Philadelphia. Their instructors were using iPads to try to raise those city numbers to the positive side.
Classroom, you're going to be the most mature. You're going to be the one that has your head together because you experienced this.
An uplifting promise from lead multimedia facilitator Tully to a select group of students using Apple iPad 2s to create podcasts.
Well, right now we're doing a podcast about how to play chess. And right now we're just editing it, and we're about to put subtitles because right now we don't have time to do a voiceover.
Shooting the video, writing the script, recording the audio, editing, and presenting the final product, all on the iPad.
These applications on the iPad today, doctors, they use podcasts now to do surgery. After they do the surgery, they do the actual blogging to talk about the surgery. Designers, everything is HTML now, Adobe products, Apple products. What we're trying to do here today, Steve, is to show them that you need to learn every aspect of technology no matter what profession you're in.
For all of these 9th graders, it's a chance to touch media that they ordinarily wouldn't, to learn communication skills and some life skills and connect more of the dots to their dreams.
I'm going to be an entrepreneur when I grow up.
Pascal Napoleon wants to start several businesses. She's learned hard work is part of the plan. And there's the lesson of completing a project. This round table of students has created a podcast on how to properly tie a tie.
Wow, the music ended perfectly. We have it? That's great. You couldn't nail that any better. Now what's your next project?
And does it work? What did the students learn, and can this be part of a curriculum that teaches kids in a way they will learn and retain what they learn? With me are Sean McKoy of Real McKoy Media, Christopher Tully of CTEduOnline and multimedia technology instructor at Middlebucks Institute of Technology, and Logan Clare, a facilitator of the Empowerment Program. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here. And a former student of the program, too. Let's start, Chris, with what we're talking about here. What is this multimedia approach?
Well, I think in today's society, we get all our information through the net. And when you look at what's on the net, it's graphics, it's video, it's all-encompassing of multimedia. And I think when kids can lean on that as an aspect of to learn, so for instance, if you take a math class and kids can develop a podcast on what they're learning in class and see that on YouTube, I think they tend to retain that information a little bit more than just being disseminated information, taking a test on it, and then moving on to the next project. So
there are some folks that might be saying, well, don't kids today just instinctively almost have a gene for that? They think that it just sort of naturally comes along. So why have this kind of special project? Yeah,
I mean, to talk on that for a second, I used to teach PowerPoint. They're learning PowerPoint in 3rd grade now. So when you look at where we're trying to take these kids, I think it's the same kind of motto of, engage them by using technology to get them as a conduit to learn the information. So if they're doing it, how about let's create that transformational media that has them as the role model for other kids. So I think that's where that comes in. They're seeing, you talked about the tying a tie. Why couldn't kids just tie a tie? I don't see the aspect behind that, but when they see that they can encourage another person to learn something as simple as tying a tie, imagine when they do an algebraic problem or they're deciphering a character in a book. They ultimately become now the instructor, and it empowers them to want to learn more. Okay, you're throwing a lot of ideas at me. I want to follow up on them in a moment. Sean, you've been in video production for a while now. You do some very much charitable work out of your business production side as well. But you do that to help kids. What is it about this that excited you that you wanted to get together with Chris and do this?
Well, I would say serendipity took its course. Christopher's a good friend of mine, and I've always heard about his wonderful program in Bucks County, and I happened to go there 5 years ago. And the way he was empowering those kids with multimedia tools and being certified in different applications like Photoshop, Final Cut Pro, it was just amazing. And 5 years after that, well, actually that day I told Chris, I said, one day I'm going to do a showcase on your program. 5 years later, a couple months ago, I did a special on what he's doing in Bucks County for my show Unscripted, and it was just amazing, got a lot of feedback. And me and Christopher sat down and we said, you know what? What if we take your curriculum, this program, this innovative educational movement, and let's say we bring it to different inner cities? I mean, it could be a totally different world.
Logan, you're one of the people who was a student of Chris at Middle Bucks.
Yep.
What was it like being a student of Chris? Is he a tough teacher?
He's definitely a tough teacher, but there's a method to his madness, and he'll say that many, many times over. And it's a complete honor to have been his student and learn under Mr. Tully, and then be given the opportunity to help out these kids that are entering into 9th grade.
Are you concerned? Did you ever hear from your parents, or did you ever hear from other people? Well, of course you like that class. You get to play, you get to make videos, you get to do that stuff. But Chris doesn't think it's play. He thinks it's work, and it's something that you're going to need and benefit you in other ways. When you first took the class, did you say, oh, wow, an easy class?
No way, actually. That's a misconception. A lot of people, a lot of my friends, a lot of parents thought I was just going to go into the class and play around on computers, but within the first 4 weeks we were told that like there's a whole work ethic you have to learn, there's a whole mindset you have to learn to be in his class and to keep that mindset going, and really try and get off track here, sorry.
Well, and just to get the job done. So you're learning discipline, you're learning that there is a responsibility to this, and you're learning layers of what is involved in multimedia that go beyond what you thought were there.
Exactly, yeah. There's a whole mindset that's involved that a lot of people don't know about, and it's all about learning about technology, and that's not something that a lot of people know about, really.
And you did this at Middle Bucks, and now you two guys got together and said, you know what, we're going to go, as we see here, into Northeast High School. We're going to work with a school district and create what my words are a pilot program to work with a few kids during the summer to teach them these things. Now, when these kids at Northeast High, who are in 9th grade now, when they first got together with you, Chris, what was day one? What was their approach or attitude?
Well, day one was the Cupid Shuffle, and that's where we start. I mean, we walk in, we blast music. I think it was the Black Eyed Peas, I think, we started with or something. And, you know, the kids walked into this environment and they saw us, you know, and we're like, hey, the first thing we need to do is get excited about learning. Everybody get up and do the Cupid Shuffle, and they were just like, this guy's crazy. And that's usually the response, and what happens is they start to laugh. And they start to enjoy what they're doing. And then we follow that up with basically the backstory of where this all came from. Unfortunately, through my own education in 6th grade, I was in a Catholic school, and I had a teacher who, you know, didn't emphasize being passionate about who you are and what you want to accomplish. We were told we were stupid. We were told we would never achieve in life. And back then, education model was a little bit different. I mean, you know, you were treated differently. It was, you know, I'm in charge and you're going to listen to me. And I think through that experience, you know, I didn't always want to be an educator. I was a television producer director, and I had an opportunity to give back. And I became an educator. Actually, my first job was at Roxborough High School here in Philadelphia. I had an opportunity to build a different type of program in Bucks County. And ever since then, though, it's been about empowering these kids to say, you have an opportunity to be whoever you want right now. Chances have it when you're in the future that your life's going to change, and sometimes you're not going to be able to do exactly what you want to do. You know, sometimes it's financial, it's your home responsibility. So right now, when they walked in, that was the message. The message was, let's be excited, let's get excited about learning, and let's provide opportunity for you to be whoever you want to be.
To parents who say, but I think my school district does this already. Aren't they teaching kids about computers and software and how to use those things?
Yes, there's computers in the classroom. There's teachers who encourage kids to work hard. I think ultimately what happens is, hey, let's learn how to do this so you can go to college. And I think that's, even in my educational training after I left the industry to become a teacher, was about empowering kids to want to go to college, because that's what success is. And I have a different philosophy of education. I think it's empowering the student to understand who they are and who they want to be, and then give them the pathway to become successful, whichever way. And I don't encourage kids to necessarily have to go to college the first year to get out of high school. Maybe some kids need to mature a little bit. You know, you talked about the dropout rate of kids in college. Why? There was really no plan. There was like, I'm going to go to college. You know, there's books that have been written, Other Ways to Win, about how kids in the middle class are forced to go to college specifically because that's what the parents think. So they put themselves in a financial situation that now, okay, you went to college, now go get a job.
Yeah, it's almost like 13th grade.
Yeah,
It's just an
you're
extension of
absolutely
whatever,
right.
but
Yep.
they're not really thinking about what they need to do.
Exactly.
And
So
of course, there is the cost factor for some of them
and
too.
the cost factor is
But
important.
I want to stay on this one stream before I get into what
Yeah.
I think is the heart of what you're saying and that I've heard already. But there are not always kids who are learning computers and software or learning it consistently, or there's arrested development. They learn a certain amount and doesn't go any further for what they're going to need moving on. So they might have the rudimentary skills,
Exactly.
but they don't have more of that. And when you talk about inner city kids, they may not have a lot of these devices in their home. So that repetition and redundancy they don't get. Are you concerned about that at all? So you had some folks, for example, at Northeast High, they got immersed.
Yeah.
Now, what if they don't have access to this again? What's kind of the solution to that? Is there one?
I think the means, and I think we actually started the program by showing them other ways to do this. Go to the library. One of our first projects was a homework assignment, which I think David summarized it best in one of his journals. He said, I wanted to go home and I wanted to do my homework. So he found any means without having a computer in his home, and they can go to their neighbor's house, they can go to the library. Okay, maybe they don't have access to iPads. I mean, I saw videos where kids went to the iTunes or the Apple store and would actually do projects and then email it to themselves or upload it to YouTube. There is means to get there. I think one thing that I wanted
That's
to...
great. That's a great story. I mean,
Yeah, it
that's
was.
good. That shows a lot of things, a lot of initiative.
Yeah.
Sean, are you looking at this as some project that you'd like to be able to expand within the school district or other school districts?
Oh, absolutely. When Chris and myself sat down, we said we're starting a movement that it's not just one and done. Thanks to the School Board of Philadelphia, thanks to Channel 17 that sponsored half the iPads, and thanks to Chris's dad who put the other iPads on his credit card. But we just wanted people to really realize and kind of understand this movement. Because of the economic times right now, the first programs that are cut are multimedia programs or arts through education. But if we can show these kids innovative tools and help them, empower them for the rest of their life, I think this movement could be in New York, it could be in LA, it could be in Miami. We can't just say, you know what, we don't have any money. There's other ways around money.
Logan, you're a little younger than these two. Do you relate to the students differently? Do they relate to you differently? Or do they pretty much look at instructors as all instructors? When you're dealing with ninth graders.
At first, I thought that they looked at us all the same, but I wanted to instill a difference because I told them the first day of class that I graduated 2 months ago before starting the program, so I thought I could talk to them about high school, I could talk to them about especially the program since I had been in Mr. Tully's program so recently. And I think after a little while they started to see a relation between the age difference, especially with Kara and Mike, the other two facilitators in the class. They could really relate to us on another level and see us as not only a facilitator but also like a friend and instructor. And I think it's the same with Mr. Tully and Sean as well. We like to set up that environment, but I think that age difference definitely was a bit more relatable for some of the
you're
children.
hip and they're not. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, but one of the things that Chris said is that, and I think this is the central part of him, is that educators today, for all of their good intentions, either don't have the tools or they're not told they're allowed to do it, or they just choose not to do it. It could be any of those things. But that a lot of young people today simply need to learn in a different way than all of us often learned for thousands of years. And do you see that in your own life, that when you have these multimedia skills, that somehow other doors of knowledge open up to you that you would not have accessed otherwise?
Definitely. There's a huge difference between using technology and using technology properly, as I would say, because there's using Facebook and then there's using Facebook to market yourself, to promote yourself, to learn with peers, and there's all these other tools that are on the internet in technology that can be used for education, and a lot of it isn't even realized by many of the teachers and students. And I think if we get that message out there, a lot of teachers and students will start to embrace the technology that is there in education, and I think it could definitely revolutionize the way teaching is thought about.
One teacher's fear may be that this takes more time. Does it take more time in your experience?
It's differentiated between each student, I believe, because each student learns in a different pace. Each student has their own mindset. So I think it's the teacher's job, if they want to spend that time, if they're passionate, that they will learn how each student learns, and in those steps, they'll kind of integrate technology through there.
I want to pick up on this and more on multimedia learning in Philadelphia in a moment as In Focus continues on PHL 17.